I gotta sneeze. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this live stream. Oh, I'm so excited to be here with you. Let me make sure that we are live in the group before I go live on Instagram. If you're joining live here on Facebook, say what is up. If you're joining in the replay, say hashtag replay, and I'll give you a shout out. So good to see all my replay watchers. Okay, let me go live on Instagram. We are going to be talking about grief. Welcome everyone on Instagram. I am so delighted to be here with you today because we are going to be talking about a topic that not a lot of entrepreneurs talk about. And in this, especially now, but really at any time in your business, grief is going to be a feeling that we all are going to have to go through and process. And what I see is that so many of my clients feel like when we experience grief, it's all or nothing. We either show up for our business or we just disconnect and we grieve altogether. And what I want to share with you is that this year for me has been filled with grief from like February, March, April, May, like every single month, there's just been some kind of loss, some kind of moment where it feels like it's a shock to the system, where I feel like, how is this happening? How is this continuing to compound? So I have a lot of experience in processing grief and being able to sustain a 7-figure business and be able to still have an amazing life. And so I really want to share with you all the process that I want to recommend, because this is a question that so many people have asked me about. How do you process grief while still showing up for your business? How do you still make money even if you're dealing with grief? Is that even possible? So we are going to be talking about that today. Okay, let me just make sure. Okay, what's up? I see so many people here on Instagram and on Facebook. Say hi. Hi, Jamie. How are you? Good to see you. Where are you guys tuning in from? I'm super curious. And I also want to know, has there been, give me a yes or a no in the comments, has there been a time during the year where you've experienced grief? Yes or no? It's all good if no, but this live stream is going to help you in understanding what it is that you need what you need to do when you experience grief in the future. Because believe me, it's going to happen. So the first thing that I want to say is that, I've created this concept called compounding grief. Compounding grief happens when basically it's the result of many expectations not being met in your business. So maybe, let's say on a business perspective, you have launched an offer, you have you're going through a launch, or you created a new offer or a new freebie, whatever it is, and it just didn't work, right? So grief can happen just on the business perspective, but also grief can happen on a personal level. So compounding grief can be a result of many losses in your personal life that impact your emotional ability to move through your business on a business as usual way, right? So grief doesn't just happen. I mean, sometimes it can happen in one moment, but what I've recognized is that for strong people, if you're like me, my Instagram was paused. Okay, here we go. If you are like me, you're a strong person, you're a strong woman, man, whatever, however you identify. And you can take a lot. You can do a lot just on your own. You can take a hit and then you move through it and you're good, you process it. But there are different types of grief, and compounding grief is the one that I'm going to be referring to the most, because it's the one that hits the deepest when it's multiple things happening all at once, and you just feel like one thing after another is just shit keeps going. It feels like you keep losing, whether it's in business or whether it's in a personal life. So that's the concept that I created, compounding grief. And as I said, is the result of many expectations in business not being met, or many losses in your personal life happening that impact your emotional ability to move through business as usual. Okay. So, for me, it happened on a personal level. Like I had a breakup that kind of turned into like multiple breakups in the same year. Like it was like a on and off kind of situation. I had things happening with a team member that I trusted for many years, that ended up launching a competitive offer after learning and experiencing everything that they had learned and experienced in my container, without telling me anything about it, and just feeling I felt a lot of betrayal and like a lot of loss, because this was one of the closest people in my life. I experienced grieving my family, like I experienced family members like asking me for money and wanting things from me because they know that I make money. And so I experienced the loss of relationships that were pending on me giving money because they wanted something from me and were making me responsible for things that I wasn't responsible for. And so, according to my values, it just wasn't something that I wanted to do. And that caused loss, that caused a loss of connection in my family with a family member. I experienced grieving so many, like grieving losing friends moving away, grieving like moving to another city. There's so much grief that it just compounded, right? Like grieving, one of my team members wanted to leave, and I actually lost a team member that I really loved because she wanted to start her own business. Almost a couple of there was just a lot of grief happening. So I was just taking the loss at that, like one loss after another and after another and after another. And then on a personal level, I was experiencing all this heartbreak, and I was feeling so much shame about it because I'm like, how am I still in this thing, right? So just know that this is the real. Give me a yes in the comments if you have had one of those years, one of those months, one of those times when you've experienced shit just going sideways when you did not expect it, right? So one of the mistakes that people make, Elizabeth says that's my biggest fear when it comes to money, losing people due to that kind of stuff. Yeah, but I mean, I just want to tell you that like you don't feel like it's not a loss. It's just a temporary bleep in the relationship. Like family is always going to be family. You know what I mean? And whether, you know what I mean? Like it's always going to be back to normal. It's just the moment where you feel like there's a disconnection that can cause a lot of dissonance. But like, I still love money, and I'm not going to stop making money because I'm afraid that people are going to want something from me. Like people can want all they want from me, but it's up to me whether I want to give it to them or not, whether it's family or not, right? So like, don't block abundance because like fears that don't even need to be there, right? Like it's valid, but it's not actually useful. Do you experience guilt? Yeah, I mean, some guilt. There was definitely a layer of guilt, but not really, because I'm so in line with my values that I don't, I know that this is not my thing. Like, I mean, I'm very clear on on my boundaries and my values. And so I don't actually feel guilty. So not really. Okay, so here I want to get into it, and I love these questions. Keep bringing them on. I love it. And let me just bring the Facebook chat here just to make sure that I have everything. How are we already on 8 minutes? I can't believe this. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing that I want to say is the mistakes that people make when it comes to grief are just two simple mistakes, okay? You either want to move past it really quickly, like it never happened, which results in you coming, it's going to come up in an emotional level. Like it's going to come up in, on an emotional level, meaning you're going to get pissed. Whoa, the waves here are crazy. You're going to get pissed at your significant other. You're going to have like, something's going to act out in your emotional level, or you might actually experience this ease in your body. So grief is you're going to have to process it one way or another. Some people shove down their feelings. Some people really feel their feelings. Some people do whatever. So it's going to come out at some point. So my recommendation is just process it, which I'm going to teach you how to do here, and in a practical way. The other mistake people make is they get stuck in it. So it's the opposite of mistake number one. Some people in mistake number one, they just avoid it. Mistake number two, is they get stuck in it. And what that can cause is long-term depression, a lot of apathy, and a lot of self-fulfilling prophecies. And I can tell you from my own experience, because like I went into all those three feelings, like depression, apathy, and the self-fulfilling prophecies. Like I literally, all the things that I was afraid that would happen, it ended up happening. And I'm like, oh my God, of course I'm the creator of my own reality. Like, duh, right? And I'm sharing this with you so that you see that even at the 7-figure level, like I have a multi-million-dollar business, shit still happen. Like emotional things will still happen, and it's just about how you process it. So for me, instead of getting stuck in it, what I do is I'm going to teach you the process. Basically, let's just get into the process. Okay. So one of the things that I want you to understand. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do, and I'm going to address this on an emotional level, and then I'm going to address this on a very practical level in your business, okay? So what are things that you need to do in your business, or things that I recommend that you do as you're experiencing grief, what to do, what not to do, how to find the balance, and then what to do on an emotional level, like personally, internally, how to handle it. So I want to start with that first. The first thing that you need to understand about grief is that it feels like a shock to your system, kind of like a car crash. Like you need to give yourself, if you were involved in a car crash, you probably would have some injuries. It's the same thing when you experience grief. It feels like something just shocked your system in a way that is invisible. But just because you can't see it doesn't mean you can't feel it or it's not there. So you really do need to give yourself space to heal. But this is a very vague thing. People say, oh, you need to give yourself time and space to heal. And I just gave myself a sabbatical. Like I literally took a 3-month sabbatical this year, and I was just giving myself space to heal and just be and not think about it. And like time is actually not necessarily the solution. So grief needs to be processed. And how I'm gonna literally give you the things that I did. So first of all, if you're like me and you're like a go-getter, you want to get to your goals, you want to do the damn thing, you're going for it, this is going to feel like it's slowing you down, okay? This is going to feel like it's going to slow you down, and you're going to have a desire to not face it, or a desire to like avoid it or push it away. And I just want to remind you that this is a necessary step in your life to remind you of what you're capable of, even if it feels like you've lost, even if it feels like this, you can literally get a breath, like take a breath in. Like grief is there to remind you of your personal power. That's what I want to say that I've had to remind myself of, because it feels literally like you're dying. Like grief feels so fucking deep that it's almost like you can't breathe, and it feels like you're gonna die, and it feels like taking a breath just feels like you just don't want to do it. And you got to start by understanding that it is part of the process of your growth, even though that might be logical and you're like, hey, I get this, but it doesn't feel that way. Maybe you don't need to feel it to believe it. So what I did is I had to take literally just one breath at the time and just breathe life into me. I had to breathe life into me once over and over again, because grief comes in waves. And you can Google the steps of grief. I'm not going to go into that because everybody can literally Google the solution to like the waves of grief, and like that's public knowledge, right? Like that's not hard to decipher. It will come in waves. You're going to have acceptance, you're going to have anger, you're going to have all those feelings. They will come and go, all like in many different waves. You can read about it, but it's not really going to help you process it. So what I'm doing here is actually helping you process it. Okay, so that's the first thing, understanding that it's a shock to your system and that it's a reminder of your personal power. There we go. It's a reminder of your personal power. Breathe life into you every single day. Breathe life into you every single day. Thing number 2, understand that grief actually changes you. Like it changes you as a human. You're no longer the same person that you were before the grief happened, before the launch happened. The launch flopped. Maybe the launch flopped. Maybe you lost a boyfriend where you went through a breakup. Maybe your dog died. Maybe your grandparents died. Maybe somebody died. Whatever loss, whatever grief it is, maybe your team member quit, whatever it is, Just understand that you are no longer the same person that you were when you had that person or that thing in your life, right? Or the vision of that in your life. You are different. So so you need to understand that your routines also need to change. The way that you approach life might need some adjustments, okay? So, for example, my routine of waking up 4 times a week at 7 a.m. and working out like I used to last year and for 2 years in a row and just going at it, like, was just, my body was just literally not capable of doing that. And if you guys follow me on stories, you know that I'm super disciplined with working out, with work, like massages, this is all of the things. Like, my life was so organized, and I just couldn't bring myself to even move out of bed some days. I just couldn't. So I'm so glad that I have a team, because I gotta tell you that part of the things that I'm going to teach you in the business aspect is that, this is why I love having a premium business, and why I'm so glad and I will always stand by having a premium business model, is because thank God I chose that path, because now I have money to literally do nothing. Like, I could not work for a year and still be fine. I could literally just go on an eat, pray, love adventure and come back, and I will still be fine. I have a team that supports me. I have clients that I can pour myself into. I'm not like, what is it that they call it? Spreading myself too thin, because I literally have valued myself, my work, and my life, and who I am and what I do in the world to the level that it deserves. And I am giving from a full cup, right? And this is the beauty of having a premium coaching business. Having a premium coaching business allows you to move through life in a way where you can take whatever happens. It's like you have the capacity, the bandwidth to have bad days, to have bad seasons, to have seasons where you can show up the way you normally do. And so I'm so grateful to my past self, because I had the energy. I wasn't going through grief. I had the energy to show up. I had the inspiration. I had the thing to write, everything that I needed to write the content, to show up, to do the live streams, to do the damn thing. And it paid off. And I decided to charge premium prices and value my work and over deliver for my clients. And thank fuck I did that. Otherwise, I would not be in a position where I can take a sabbatical for 3 months, or I can go on an eat, pray, love adventure for fucking a year if I wanted to. And so this is why, and by the way, I have to say it right now, if you want a premium coaching business, if you want to know how to clarify your message to attract premium clients, I want to invite you to join the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind, because in 3 months, I help you do just that. I help you elevate the quality of clients you attract. I help you charge the prices that you want. We talk about this processing all the internal emotions that you might be going through as a business owner, so that you can attract the clients that you actually want. And I cannot stand by this anymore, because I literally feel the support, the effects of having a premium business are that I can actually show up for you even in times when I don't feel necessarily fully resourced in my emotional capacity, right? But in other ways, I do feel very emotional. I do feel very resourced, and this because I chose a premium business. So in case you don't know, we have 5 ridiculous, amazing bonuses, and you can watch my stories from yesterday to catch up with that. I'm not going to go into all the details right now. I'll tell you at the end if you're curious. Because you can get literally free coaching from now until February if you join right now. And you can get an extended payment plan, and you can get $1,000 off, and you can get access to all the modules right away, because I want all of you to have access to this information, to this support, to my coaching. I feel like I can give from an overflowing cup. And that's why I'm giving you access to my higher level mastermind from now until we start the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind, which is not until February. So you get essentially 6 months of coaching instead of just 3 months. Is the most amazing thing. I'm like, I feel so happy with these bonuses, because I know they're going to serve so many people. So make sure that you go to the link in my bio to apply, or just send me a message if you want to know more information, and I'll share it with you. Okay, so going back to what are the things that you must do. So understanding that your life might need some adjustments. So your routines, your journaling, your working out, all of that might not apply anymore. You are a different person. And so for me, I couldn't work out every day anymore. I had to like reduce it to like maybe once a week. Right? Like it literally felt like I had to overcome, I had to redesign who I was being, because it literally is like your bones. Imagine that you're in a car crash, your bones break, your bones need to rebuild, and the bone is not going to be the same. The bone's going to have a little bit of scar tissue around it. It's going to look different, and that's okay. But you can't expect yourself to operate at the same level or in the same way as you used to. For example, I love journaling and self-coaching every morning. I could not bring myself to do one fucking like journaling session. I just couldn't. It was just not where I was. I didn't journal for months. But what I did do, I'm going to answer your question in just a second, Elisabetta. What I did do is I started video journaling, because I just couldn't write for some reason. It just wasn't, I just kept on doing the same loop in my journal. I couldn't shift my thoughts. I couldn't shift my feelings. I was stuck in the grief. So I started video journaling, and I would just turn on my video and I would just talk and I would just talk and I would just talk. And I have all these journals, all these video entries from like, February, actually from March, whatever. And that helped me move the energy out of my system. Okay. Now, number 3, or other things that I had to change: longer time to recover. So normally I can sleep like 7 hours and it's fine. Now I need 9. I need 9 at 8.5 minimum. So I had to sleep more. I had to learn how to take naps. I literally had to fit my schedule around my recovery, because it's like your internal world, your soul needs recovering, literally. Okay. Another thing, let yourself cry really fucking hard. Let yourself be angry. Let yourself scream it out for as long as you need. I mean, I literally, the amount of times that I was just like screaming in this house and just like angry, sad, like doing despair, like just letting all the emotions out. And I had to learn how to witness myself in it, and also confide in friends that were were there for me, because I mean, I went through a breakup. Like my ex-boyfriend was my best friend. I could cry right now. Like I still feel sadness, and like, so the person that I would call would be him. And so like when you lose that person, and when you lose that, that special, like, or when somebody dies, it's like, what do I do now? Like, who do I go to now? And who do you need to learn to go to is you, right? Like, I am sad now and I feel emotional now because it's like somebody died, but on the same breath, I feel so much like joy that I was able to find myself through that I was able to learn how to experience the deepest levels of like grief, where I felt like I was gonna die, and still be here talking to you guys about this. It's like, this is why I said in the beginning, it's like grief is such a reminder of your personal power, because just when you think you can't go anymore, you are faced with like your mortality almost. It's like, wow, I literally feel like I can't live anymore, because there's so many compounding things that are happening that it's just like, I can't handle it. And just when you're about to give up and you're like, I just want to throw it all out, then you find that breath and you find that spark and you find that like little voice that's like, no, you got this, you've got this. And it's like, it makes me feel so much more connected to myself now that I have gone through that. And I still go through that. I still have waves of grief and sadness. You know what I mean? And I'm still able to show up here because I have held myself in it. And I have gone through the depths of the darkness. And I have come out the other side saying, listen, we can do this. Like, this is just temporary. Nothing is permanent. So let me just go back to the question. Okay. Have you ever had imposter syndrome in addressing premium clients? What is the fear behind that, in your opinion? Yeah, I definitely have had fear addressing premium clients when my peers started um, hiring me. I definitely felt like, wow, who the fuck, what? My peers are hiring me. And even coaches that were making a lot more money than me at the time were hiring me, wanting to copy my models, wanted to like know how I think. So it definitely felt that way. But imposter syndrome to me is just simply a reminder that I'm in the right direction, because I always see myself as like I've always wanted to see myself as a premium coach. And so to me, imposter syndrome is not really a syndrome. It's just a reminder that I'm on the right track. So I just love feeling like an imposter sometimes, because I'm like, oh, I'm on the right track. So that's how I would want you to reframe it. Okay, so cry hard. Like speaking of that, I let the cry out, which is great. You are not the same person that you were, so allow yourself. Oh, this is important. Like allow yourself to grieve the version of you that you were. Because you were not, so like for example, in this breakup that I'm telling you guys about, I was a different person. I was a different person back then than I am now. And so Juliana from April is literally a completely different person than Juliana right now in October, right? It's like so different that like I had to grieve that version of me that no longer fit the future. Instagram got disconnected. Here we go. So I had to grieve letting go of the woman, of the little girl that no longer fit the current version of me, the current version of, or the future me. And like, it's a whole identity shift. This is why grief is so complex and so not, and people, I'm glad that I'm talking about it, but people just don't talk about it enough, because there's so much shame, there's so much darkness. It's so hard for people to speak up when they're going through it. But you must let go of who you were before. So you're not only letting go of the thing you lost, but you're letting go of the version of you who was attached to that thing, who had a life with that thing or person or that vision. Like if a launch failed, you're letting go of the identity of you that felt like you couldn't, like, that felt kind of naive in a way, that you could just do anything. You're letting go of the fear that you cannot do it and you cannot survive it, because you can, right? Like you're seeing yourself here in this moment feeling sadness that your launch didn't go the way you wanted to, but you are now so much more wise. So you're letting go of the version of you that didn't have the wisdom, that didn't have the capacity to hold what you're going through. And that needs to be acknowledged. That part of you needs to be let go of, or mourn, or buried, or whatever, not buried, that's not the word that I'm looking for, but acknowledged, right? And so you get to choose, who do I want to be now that I'm no longer that? Who do I want to be now that I'm no longer attached to a result or an outcome? So if your launch failed, quote unquote, if you're thinking my launch failed, cool. So now that I know that I'm still alive, even though my launch didn't go well, who do I want to become? By the way, not going well is not even the term. The launch went perfectly. How do we know that? Because it went the way it went. So it's your job to redefine how you see your result. And that is a new version of you. You're no longer the same person that you were before. So for example, when I thought my worth was attached to my results and how much money my launches made, and then I had a launch that didn't do well, I had to mourn the part of me, the version of me that was attached to results being part of my identity. And that's not easy, because we are taught that our results are everything, right? Like our results are the creation of our thoughts. So who are we if we're not creating the results that we want? That's not the full picture, right? So I had to mourn ways of thinking and being that don't align with the kindness and the compassion that I want to have for myself, regardless of the results. Is that landing? Is that clear? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna answer the next question that you had, Elisabetta, but I want to finish this. Okay. Last two things before we move on to the practical business stuff. And I know that this has been a long live stream, but you guys, this is not, grief is like this. It's not a quick thing. Like it just takes a moment, which leads me to, you can't be in a rush to no longer feel grief. Like, did you see how my emotional response to what I was talking about crying, like that was grief, that was sadness. And I'm not like, no, why am I still feeling this way? Like, you will want to feel shame about yourself feeling this and that and whatever. And believe me, I go through that. But we have to let go of the timeline of how long we're giving ourselves to feel the damn thing. Like, it's going to take as long as it takes. And when you feel that liberation of like, oh, I can feel pain, I can feel grief, I can feel apathy, I can feel all the murky feelings and still be okay with it. Like, the liberation for me was, it continues to be mind-blowing. So don't be in a rush. It's kind of like when you try to pull like a chain, when there's a knot in a chain and you try to pull it really hard, you notice how it gets tighter and tighter and tighter. Whereas like if you just start kind of doing this and you undo the knot, it kind of works. And then it's like way more easeful for you to undo the knot, right? So that's the same thing with grief. You have to like gently massage it and come back to it and maybe put it aside and then come back to it and then like notice coming and going. And then you just have patience. And I think this is so important for those of us that like don't have patience in life. Like, listen, patience is not my greatest gift. And this is why I get put into situations where patience is the lesson, right? So believe me, patience is always going to serve you. And this is the question that I want you to journal on. Okay, even though it might feel ridiculous to ask yourself this, depending on the stage of grief that you're in, I mean, listen, this really helps me every day. And it's a question of, how is this serving me? So for me, how is this breakup serving me? How is this what I actually wanted? Or how was this team member like fucking lying about, my Instagram just went offline. Okay. Lying about so many things and going behind my back and doing things completely behind my back. How is that serving me? Oh no, my Instagram just like, oh, my phone is really hot. I wonder why. Can you guys hear me there? Can you guys hear me there? Okay, there we go. I think my phone is so hot. Okay, well, I better finish this because I don't know why it's overheating. Okay. So how is this serving me? How is this team member, whatever the thing you lost, how is this serving me? How is it serving me? And am I willing to see how this is supportive to me? Show me, show me, show me. God, universe, angels, show me, show me, show me. How is this supportive? How is this serving me? How is this for my greater future, greater good? And even if I don't see it, I don't have to believe it, but I am willing to accept it because it's happening. And that literally, let that sink into your bones. Let that be your prayer. Let that be your declaration. Let that be your rock for yourself, because no one's going to come and save you from the grief. This literally is something that is for you to hold yourself in. And so how is this serving me? How am I willing to see that it supports me, right? I'm willing to see it differently. And even if I don't see how it's helping me now, I get to believe that it's happening for me, because things always work out in your favor. I mean, look at the evidence, do a list of all the times and all the ways when you thought that you were completely fucked and actually it all worked out in the end. Okay. Now that we have addressed all the personal, internal things, the last thing that I want to address is the business part, okay? So, I know this has been long, but stick with me here. So, number one, this is happening for me. In business, you have to remember this is happening for me, and this is not the end of my business. This is where it begins. This is where the new version of me begins, okay? Apathy from things not working. Wait, what is this note? How is this making me who I've always wanted to become? Yeah, so as a business owner, how is this making you who you've always wanted to become? I mean, seriously, grief makes you so much more resilient, and it shows you that you can take so much more than you thought you could. And I want you to really use that as fuel to cement your identity of who you've always wanted to become. So powerful, so powerful. The version of you who has already accomplished the goal, how would they hold themselves in this situation? So let's say you have a goal of making $100,000 in your launch. And let's say the version of you that has already accomplished that goal, how would they hold themselves in this situation where this launch didn't work? But what if we knew for sure that you were going to have a 100K launch in the future? What would you think about this current moment? Like, what would you think about it? How would you feel about it? And in my case, every single time is you just keep going. I love you. You're doing the best you can. And like, there's one more launch coming. There's one more, like, there's always more of where that came from. And you can always try again. And this is part of the process. And so I source wisdom from my future self as it relates to my business, because I know that that is where the wisdom is going to come from. Okay. When the grief compounds, it creates apathy and depression, as I mentioned before. So it makes you feel like you don't want to write a post. You don't want to do anything, right? You don't want to do a live stream. You don't want to do anything at all. I get it. You are not alone. So from a practical perspective, here's what I want to share. That in your business, you have to create little tiny wins. So don't go for the big thing if you don't have capacity for it. Create a small one thing that you can do every single day that you can go to bed feeling accomplished. Like, I did it. I did this one small thing. I showed up for me or my business in this small way. I feel proud of myself. Because the problem with grief is that people go from one extreme to another. Like, they either they ignore it or they get stuck in it. And the best way that I have found to process it is to move at just a lighter speed, like meaning slower speed, even if it's just one small thing at the time, one tiny thing at the time. Because when you get stuck in grief and then you want to disconnect from your business, then it's going to take so much more energy for you to get back up, to get back engaged, to get into motion. And so I know that it might feel like the hardest thing to do to just show up and say hi in your stories or write something or whatever it is, coach your clients, whatever that is. Find a small thing that you can do, even if it feels really uncomfortable, because it's going to show your brain that you actually are stronger than what you think you are, right? So you can give yourself plenty of spaciousness to process, but also you can give plenty of spaciousness to yourself to do at least one thing for your business, one thing that is really going to move the needle forward, okay? Now, if you have a team, here's how I've handled it. So obviously I have a multi-7-figure business. So I have a team. It's a very small team. We have 4 people. I've reduced it to 4 people. So I have my social media manager, my OBM, my VA, my copywriter. So I basically have my social media manager repurpose a lot of the stuff that I've already created. So this year I literally took 3 months of a sabbatical. Nobody noticed because I had content that I had created for months and months, like for years. And now we can just repurpose that, refresh that. And this is why consistency and staying connected to the same message, to the same audience, it's like the greatest gift you can give yourself, which is what I teach inside of the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind. Because once you have that body of work, it's like you can literally relax and your content will work for you. You can adapt the content in so many ways so that you don't have to always be recreating the wheel. I teach you how to do that inside of the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind. So if you want to join, literally everything I teach you is what's helped me create the life that I have, and like the systems that I created in my business, which I teach you inside of the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind, have allowed me to have this year where there's just been so much loss. And I couldn't be more proud of everything that I teach in there because it saved my life, really. I don't know what I would do without it. It saved my livelihood, literally. So repurposing in a way where it's refreshed and staying with one message, staying with one client, staying with one offer, consistently selling the same thing over and over again, it literally makes your life so much easier. Okay. And the last thing that I want to offer is that if you don't have a team, right, it's going to feel like you're the one woman or one man show or one person show, right? So you want to go back to the basics. You can't sign up for doing you have to understand that you're going to have limited emotional capacity to create in your business. And so what you must do is go back to the basics. In what ways can you show up for your business that is going to create revenue for that day? So what are small revenue generating activities that you can engage in that are going to continue, especially marketing and sales? So like whatever it is that you do, marketing and sales are the livelihood of your business. So whatever energy you have left, what are some things around marketing and sales that you can get yourself behind? Okay. I'm going to answer a question that was above before I go. But the last one that I have here for written down in my notes is, this is happening for you. So if this was a chapter in your book, in the life of your book, in the book of your life, then what are the concepts that you would create for your clients that would help them get through what you're going through? Because guaranteed, whatever you're going through, you're going to have clients come to you, be like, I'm going through this thing, I'm going through that thing. And it's always going to be things that you have experienced in the past. And so take the space to create concepts around it. Like I created this concept of compounding grief and how to process it. Like I literally just gave you my entire process in this like hour live stream almost. And I'm turning all of that pain into power that is going to help people and that help me, right? So really use all of this as a way for you to make them, like use it for your own benefit, to monetize it, to serve the world, because it's always working in your favor. So this is happening for you. Don't forget that. Okay, so let me just go and answer some questions that I had up here. Somebody said, when you lose a person, you also lose the future you dreamed with that person. It's like virtually losing a piece of life too. Yeah, exactly. It's hard. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. And then you said, love your thoughts on letting go of the parts of yourself that don't align with the self-kindness that you deserve. Amen. A nice background. What beach is that? It looks very nice. Marina Del Rey, my loves. This is Marina Del Rey. Okay. So for those of you who are still here, listen, I know that this was a lot, but I want to tell you that inside of the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind, this is some of the stuff that we literally address, because your business problems are not always necessarily a strategy problem. They are an emotional problem. So if you're experiencing deep levels of grief or deep levels of whatever it is, you must be in a container, whether it's one-on-one, whether it's a group, where you feel held and you know how to process these feelings. You have guidance around it. So I really want to invite you to apply to the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind, because it's not that we just process grief in there. What we do is we process any emotion that comes up for you on your way to create a premium coaching business. So fears of money, any kind of emotional sticky point that you might have. That we do. I give you the strategy. I'm very logical and very tactical. So you get the strategy and the tactics to be able to attract premium clients and elevate the quality of clients that you attract, so that you no longer are spreading yourself thin, charging low-end prices, and actually start attracting premium clients into your world. And believe me, the testimonials don't lie. Just go to the sales page. Is overflowing with testimonials of people who didn't think this was possible for them, and now they're just living a different life, getting amazing results. And so I really want to invite you to get the support that you need, because if you join now, you have the most amazing benefits. We don't start until February, officially, the cohort. But when you join now, I give you access to my higher end mastermind, the Momentum Mastermind, meaning you can get coaching by me for free, literally for free, from now until we start. So we can talk about your strategy for 2024, your any client attraction issue that you might have, pricing problems, your offer, your ascension strategy, everything in your business that you need coaching on, we are gonna coach you. So I get to coach you there. You're gonna have copy coaching also. So I'm gonna literally myself, I go in there and I on a call give you feedback on your content. So you're speaking to premium clients. This all by itself, it's worth like $15,000, that bonus on its own. It's insane. What is the early bird price? So the early bird price is you get $1,000 off. So the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind is $11K, but you get it at 10. And if you pay in full, you get a VIP day with me. If you can come to the VIP day, you get a call with me as the bonus for paying in full. But if you don't want to pay in full and you just want to stretch your payments, I'm giving a super special extended payment plan because we don't start until February, where you can pay in 7 payments instead of 5, because normally the payment plan is 5 months. And I think that comes down to $1,500 a month for 7 months. So the best time to join is now because you get that $1,000 off. You get the coaching with me. Literally, you can start getting coached by me next Wednesday. That's when we coach every single week. You get that painful bonus or that extended payment plan, and it's just literally the best thing that you can do for your life. I have clients that took up that bonus of getting into the Momentum Mastermind last round, and they have just exceeded their own expectations. They literally, we're 5 weeks into the program, and they're like, I've already achieved all of everything that I wanted. Now everything is cherry on top because they joined early, because you also get access to all the modules as soon as you join. So you get access to the modules, you can watch the recordings of how I coach people. Literally, you can just get started getting coached like right away. So it's a no-brainer decision, really. If you have any questions, you can send me a message, but it's really the most delicious way to receive support so that you can end the year attracting premium clients, have a clear plan for 2024, have support to just process anything that's coming up for you in a personal level, business level, talk about pricing objections. I mean, everything that has to do with marketing, sales, and delivery is what we talk about inside of the Magnetize and inside of Momentum, which is the higher level mastermind. So if you've been wanting to work with me in the higher level mastermind, I highly recommend that you take up this offer, because you can then see what it feels like and looks like to get coached. And that way you can get a taste of it. Okay. All right, my loves. So the link is in the comments. I already answered that question about the early bird price. Okay, beautiful. Do you think it could benefit someone who is still creating the idea and doesn't have a business yet? No. So, I mean, yes, it could help. It definitely can help you. But what I recommend, the Magnetize and Monetize Mastermind is for somebody who already has a coaching business and has had clients clients that have created a transformation. So you are a coach and you have already helped clients create a transformation. I have some clients who, let's say, they still have their 9-to-5 job and they have coached some clients for free, but they have created a transformation. They feel confident about the possibility of, they feel confident in their ability to create a transformation for a human being. If you're in the idea stage of your business, I have somebody that I would recommend you to, which is one of my clients, who is amazing, and she can really help you with turning that idea into a business. Okay? So send me a message and I can connect you. All right, my loves. That was a 48-minute live stream. Holy shit. Was that helpful? Let me know. I want to know. I can't even see the comments on. Here we go. Love this topic. Oh, I'm so glad, Gianna. All right, my loves. Love you all so much. I'm so glad that was helpful. And I will see you next week. Have an amazing rest of your day. Mwah.